Hi Gemini, welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot and welcome to your cards for February 2021. Guys, I'm having all kinds of audio and technical difficulties. It's been a very exciting retrograde Mercury for me so far. And I'm a Virgo, so that is another Mercury ruled sign. We tend to feel these periods a little bit more because it's our ruling planet. But I do hope that you guys can hear me at least a little bit better this month. I'm kind of doing some temporary fixes because I don't want to purchase anything right now. But that's not to say that nobody should proceed with anything. You know, we can't really shut life down every time that Mercury is retrograde. But what we can do is be extra careful, extra diligent. And, you know, if you have a natal retrograde Mercury, it's actually a great time for you. This is actually a great time to close a lot of stuff out. So we're all probably dealing with some old stuff, you know. It's always a period to revisit, relearn things, get more information, change our perspective. We oftentimes hear from people in our past, and especially because you're getting hit this month in so many cadent houses, in all three cadent houses. Now that's your 4th, 8th, and 12th house. These are really emotional places for us. This is like old emotional karma, ancestral karma, how we are, the way that we feel about where we come from. Your 8th house is intimacy and trusting, sharing with others. It's how you allow other people to treat you. And the 12th house is a house of surrender. So there's so much stuff going on for you this month that 9th house, 12th house, Saturn, Uranus square is huge, and we're going to feel it all year long. It hits us in February, around mid-February, and then it comes back again in June, and then on December 23rd, just before Christmas. So it's such a big transit that it's not really on the day. It's more the energy surrounding, and it's good for at least a month. So this is kind of a little bit bigger than an eclipse energy. 9th and 12th house could really talk about your limitations, but it's really more about the limitations maybe you make for yourself. These could just be areas where, you know, 12th house is kind of our house of self-sabotage. It's also a house of hidden enemies. So don't forget that there could be things going on that you don't know about. And retrograde Mercury is a great time to put those pieces together. So you are coming out as a messenger of Earth. There's something very calm, very curious, yet definitely not reckless with the messenger of Earth. Because this feels like it's Virgo energy, there seems to be a level of mastery that you're coming into this month. Maybe there's an opportunity for you to shine on the things that you are good at. Maybe there's opportunities to participate in things that you truly enjoy, to gain further knowledge or excel things in your life at this time. And I feel like this indicates that the seeds you've planted are kind of starting to grow. Things are kind of taking root. If you see your antennas that kind of look like roots or branches on a tree, she kind of has a series of chakras and orbs around her, and I feel as though these are things that you are mastering and overcoming, the things that you've learned, the wisdom that you've gained. And yet I feel like the messenger of Earth has chosen a path. There is a goal. There is a reason to ascend or achieve. And what I love about you this month, what I love about the energy, is your environment is that of the Emperor. And so what happens with this Saturn-Uranus square 9th house, 12th house, it's a real awakening of your consciousness. It's a real awakening of your beliefs. And maybe some of those beliefs are holding you back. And Uranus is intent in Taurus. I'm sorry, I got lost for a second. I didn't know what I was looking at. This is really, oh, Lord. Okay. The 9th house, 12th house square, like I was talking about, this is kind of the awakening of consciousness. And with this placement, it's the illumination of what is truly possible. And I think the Emperor means that the environment, your opportunities surrounding you are asking you to step up and take charge. And it's certainly a position of leadership. So I see you being an active leader in your life, at least in one major way. Maybe this is your career, maybe this is your love life and your relationships. Maybe this is something to do with your children, but either way, there is a level of conquering, and yet you are in a messenger, which tells me that you are probably not coming at anyone in anything other than a humble and gentle demeanor. And that might be your super weapon this month. People may not realize the intelligence that you have. People may not realize the things that you are capable of. Maybe these are things that you are just starting to do or things that you are learning, and yet your ability to learn or to achieve is so quick. This is rapid growth of those seeds. Now, even more exciting is right next to this Emperor, your first card out, we have the Ace of Pentacles. Again, that seed. Maybe that Ace of Pentacles is just a vision of how you want your life to go. The Ace of Pentacles might represent a new job or a new relationship or a new opportunity. But there's something super honest about the Death card coming out next to the Ace of Pentacles. There's something very honest about when you take on a new path, you have to kind of plow through some obstacles. And I think that is exactly what the Death card is doing. It's plowing through the obstacles. And I don't think there's any match for Uranus this month in your 9th. It's breaking all of these old ways of thinking. Yeah, but I could never do that because I just don't have enough time. Or I could never do that. I could never travel there. I would never have enough money. And one by one, you start to reframe that. And I think all of this Aquarius energy is indicating to us to stop asking how. Don't just ask for the things that are feasible. Ask for the things that are bigger. Stop telling yourself there's a million reasons why that could never work out. Just be open to the fact that it might. See, what happens is our ability to transform our life takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of courage. You know, if there's an endeavor that you want to pursue, you might have to let another employer down. If there's travel that you want to do, but maybe you have to let a relationship down. And I think the Ace of the Pentacles and the Death card and the Two of Wands indicates that there is so much clarity coming for you this month. Right next to that Two of Wands is a card number 39, air element, communicating. So at the very least, there will be messages, there will be conversations, and you will understand where you are going throughout this process in the month. Death card means it's probably going to be a bumpy ride. It does indicate that there's going to be a lot of changes. Look at the Death and the Chariot card. Like, this is such positive reinforcement behind you, all getting you to this Ten of Pentacles here on the bottom, which is true success. You're taking an opportunity and you're building it and you're making it a stable foundation, and that never happens overnight. And for most people and most things, the true recipe for success is just believing in it. Ignoring all of the reasons why it couldn't work, ignoring all of the reasons why people won't let you or people will be disappointed, other people's opinions, you know? And that white horse representing truth. And I don't know, maybe the universe is kind of setting this up for you. Maybe it won't be a bumpy road. Maybe things will just sort of happen. And really the only thing that you have to do here is face the fear head on. And when the universe starts to show you ways, when the universe starts to give you hints, listen. That's the thing with the Two of Wands. I always think that this man is listening. He's focusing and he's listening, and he's clearly in a pathway or a doorway. And I think through a series or of situations in front of you, you are cleared this path and invited to step through this doorway. But it's important that you listen this month. Communication. Now, the thing that I'm noticing here is the Death card is kind of moving in a different direction than the Two of Wands. And I don't know if maybe there's a habit, Gemini, of you always looking back. Yeah, but when I was here last time, this is what happened. And this is kind of what always happens. You know, I fall in love with a job and all of a sudden they lay me off, or I'm really interested in this person and then they flake out on me. He seems to be looking backwards, and the Death card, the transformation process, is moving this way. But instead of choosing one or the other, I think you have to invite both to the table. And I think this is where Gemini, that genius energy, that 9th and 12th house being lit up, can be really genius, because all of a sudden you could start to sift through this and understand, well, maybe that's me. Maybe that stuff happens because that's the only way I ever thought it could. The universe is inviting you to change those habits. Underneath this Ace of Pentacles is this Page of Swords. Again, another indication that there will be messages. There will be communication. There will be offers. Page of Swords is super curious, and the Page of Swords is also a little bit reckless. And the thing is, I don't know if Page of Swords is kind of this alter ego or this version of you you might have a tendency to be a little bit thoughtless. And if it's not being thoughtless, then it could be elements of being somewhat in denial. See, the Page of Swords is kind of looking in this direction, swinging his sword around aimlessly, which is probably a little bit dangerous. Like I said, reckless, but innocent. But what I don't like is where that sword is pointed, because that, the center of your reading, is the Five of Cups. Even more so important because he appears right underneath this Death card, this card of transformation. What are you changing? Five of Cups. The things that you have done that you regret. And you know what? I've never been that person who said silly things like, you know, oh, no regrets. Well, I just think there has to be regrets. I think this whole human experience, we're not supposed to carry shame for making mistakes. And regrets and shame are two very different things. Regrets are okay. They're linked to our ego. They teach us how to survive. They're the things that make us learn not to do it over again. But when we attach shame to it, it gets a lot heavier, and therefore it creates more of a karmic tunnel or a rivet. And it, even though you know it's wrong, you keep doing it the same way anyways. And that Five of Cups is a very good indication of what you're finding there in your 12th house. Mars and Uranus kind of uplifting years and years of pre-programming, even pre-programming from past lives. And these are the ideas that we didn't think was possible to change. And so in a lot of ways, I feel like this is a really profound month because you're looking that right in the face. See, the Page of Swords, Ace of Pentacles, okay, well, here's an opportunity. But if you really want it, if you really want to go through this doorway, if you really want to enter into this relationship, if you really want this new job, or if you really want to go on this trip or try this thing, it can't happen unless you start to really look at this Five of Cups, this shame, this guilt. It could represent addictions. It could represent the things that you have lost. If you have been self-sabotaging in some ways, and oftentimes the Page of Swords, you know, he could be a little bit like cut things off. What do they say? Cut something off in spite of your own nose. This could be that evil twin side of Gemini that takes a really good opportunity and for some reason just lets it go. Just cuts it off. But what I think is different here is that in February, you start to see things differently because you start to want different things. You start to believe in different things. What happens during this Aquarius season is that we begin to change. King of Swords, for sure. And look at the growth. You can't grasp this Ace of Pentacles being a Page of Swords. So you have to do the work. You have to do the emotional work. You're going to have to sort through those feelings. You're going to have to sort through the whys. You're probably going to have some hard conversations with yourself. And maybe there's even going to be some apologies or some confrontations. But I think once you do those things, you immediately get progression. And there's like a cleaning out or a purification of you so that you could start to move forward again. There's a purging, a lightening of the load. I don't know, I kind of see this man trying to go on this road trip, and yet he's trying to carry all of these cups with him, and it's chaotic and it's hard. And then you realize you don't have to take them all with you. And maybe for some of you, you are actually leaving, you're packing up and leaving a situation, onward movement towards something new. And there's no doubt that whatever it is that you're leaving has changed you profoundly. This King of Swords underneath this Page of Swords is that element of strength and wisdom and that focus on what's next. What fits, what doesn't. What works, what doesn't. The thing about Aquarius season, like I was saying, is that it's very easy to cut ties with things you no longer feel fit you. Aquarius always feels like there's elements of their life that they don't fit in. If you have any Aquarius placements, or even if you just point to the Aquarius placement on your chart, which would be your 9th house, there's never quite been this one thing that fit you. You've always had different beliefs, or, and it's really highlighting this month that these are your strengths and your qualities. And I think your ability to create a vision for the future, to grow this seed that you sown, even if it is in a different direction, even if it takes on a different tone, even if there is the opportunity for forgiveness or second chances. I think the King of Swords next to the Five of Swords is willing to fight. These two cards, Death card, Five of Cups, Five of Wands. For sure the month won't be easy. So what I said, the Death card is going to be the obstacles in the road. Some of the obstacles are you, Five of Cups. Some of the obstacles are you focusing on the reasons why it can't, or the reasons why you're not good enough, or the reasons why other things didn't work out. Believing that everything new that you try is going to turn out or fail just like all the rest. And that Five of Wands is maybe the people around you. When you have a 12th house transit, maybe there is a little bit of sabotage going on, or maybe you're just putting too much pressure on yourself, comparing yourself to others in some way, like, oh yeah, but that person makes way more money than me, or that person has a way better college degree than me, or they're way more qualified and I never would be qualified. These are all those arguments that Gemini is going to have with themselves this month. But those things have to be cleared out. And if they're negative people, they have to be cleared out. You cannot, and the universe will not allow you to move forward until you kind of drop off this load. Ten of Pentacles, the Chariot. The direction you're moving in is very positive, and it's very fulfilling, and it's very long lasting, and it's very stable. It's the feeling that you're in control of things. It's the feeling like you can have or do whatever you want. And I think everybody wants that Ten of Pentacles. At the end of the day, everybody wants to know that they're going to be okay. Now, your moon card for the month was full moon in Gemini. The answers you need are coming. And it's right next to this Page of Swords. This could be conversations with people from the past. Closing out old situations, old contracts even. And remember that during retrograde Mercury, if you're working on contracts of any sort, it's always good to check them over, double read them, even have a professional look at them if you can. But the Page of Swords here just tells me that we're talking about something from the past, especially because a full moon is kind of like closing something out or changing your perspective on it. And it could be an old relationship that ended. And it could be the way to recreate it, to bring it back to life, or just simply to move on from it. Air element, communication, again. And I like that next to the Chariot is the card Breathe. Gemini, I do want to warn you that because it's Uranus in your 12th, you could feel like you're in a hurry. You could feel like you just really want to know where this is all going. I want the answers. I want to know how it's going to go. And during a retrograde Mercury and in a 12th house transit, the art of surrender is so important. The art of surrender, releasing control, is super important. And I know that's kind of active to the Ten of Pentacles, where you kind of want to make sure that everything's always going to be okay. But the way to get there is to let the universe kind of do its thing. There will be a path opening. The Chariot can also represent purchasing a new vehicle. Maybe you are moving to a new home. Ultimately, the end game, the goal, will be more than you have at the beginning of the month. It will have more potential. It will deepen its roots. Again, if it's a love relationship, maybe the beginning of February is a first date or that first conversation with somebody from a past, and by the end of the month, maybe it's a full-on relationship again. Whatever it is, there is growth. But the universe wants you to remember to breathe. Card number 29. Breaking down to 11. Knowing that the universe has your back. You can't lose what is yours. You don't need to know the details. Just trust in the universe and breathe. Also remember during this transit that sleep is very important, because we could have some really beautiful, wonderful dreams that lead to some really incredible breakthroughs. So sleep is so important. Your rest is really important. Your quiet time also really important as you're getting all of these aspects through those water houses. Next to breathe, the bottom of the deck for the Wisdom of the Oracle deck was card number 18, Serendipity. Your overall energy for the reading is the King of Swords, and underneath that was the Tower. So there's going to be a change in direction, a change in what you want for some of you. Maybe you really wanted something for a long time, and then all of a sudden you want to do something different. And of course, retrograde Mercury can invite you to make these changes, especially when we're playing around with Uranus. Big changes, Tower energy. So try not to be too impulsive. Remember, we're finding our balance between the Earth and the Emperor. We want to take our time and make good decisions. Remember that we're trying to do the things because we're answering to Saturn now. So we're doing the things that are going to be for a greater good, for the long term. You know, this is kind of when we decide to put more money in our savings instead of going out and purchasing, things that we don't really need. It's just doing the responsible thing and yet acting with confidence towards the things that you truly desire. And I think even if you're listening to me now in the beginning of February, this will probably all become a lot clearer by the end of the month, because you will have gotten the clarity that you need. So I do invite all of you to listen to this in the beginning of the month and then maybe revisit it if you have time at the end and see if it makes sense. All right, Geminis, I'm going to leave it at that. I do not believe I'll be doing mid-month readings. I'm going to try to catch up on any of the readings and redo the ones that had really poor audio quality. But I do hope that you have a wonderful February. I hope everybody has a great Valentine's Day. And I will be seeing you again in March. Take care, guys. Bye.